I was born in grain.
Hi, my name's Dan. So this album is a soundtrack album from the 2000 film of the same name, and it's a collection of songs and short instrumentals by a variety of artists. I've had a copy of this for a long time, possibly since shortly after I saw the film. So yes, I saw the film pretty much back in the day when it was released. So I've heard the album actually quite a few times. In fact, to some extent, I've forgotten the film. There are bits that I get mental images from. I know the album pretty well. So, full disclosure here. So there are 19 tracks here. Lots of them are quite short. And the flavour is what's called in the film old-timey music, which is basically Americana from, it's the film set back in the Depression, which is in the 30s in America, I believe. And the music is meant to be contemporary from that time. So it's a mixture of folk and bluegrass and gospel and bits of blues. But when I say gospel, I don't want you to think uh, like gospel choir, soulful gospel. I want you to think small white country group gospel, the kind of thing you might get on a church picnic. And I think if there's one kind of style of music that's kind of, I would say, as a starting point here, it'd be the phrase Appalachian Mountain music. It's kind of got that general feeling. So artists on here, well, there's quite a lot of them, a real plethora of artists. There are three names that I know, which are Alison Krauss, Gillian Welch, and Emmylou Harris. There's also the Soggy Bottom Boys, who are purportedly the three lead characters from the film, but are actually three lead artists. And in the film, they mime to the music. But as I say, a plethora of others. The whole thing's curated by a guy called T-Bone Burnett, who I've heard of in kind of American blues, Americana kind of circles. Most of these songs are recorded for the film, except for a couple of older recordings. Some of them are traditional, but most have got a writer credit given here, but I assume from previous recordings of those songs. So there's a mixture here of there's popular songs, some of which I knew, like Big Rock Candy Mountain and You Are My Sunshine and In the Jailhouse Now. There's some more kind of spiritual side of things like Poe Lazarus and Keep on the Sunny Side, I'll Fly Away, In the Highways. And there's more blues stuff like Hard Time Killing Floor Blues. Some people have made a contrast that there's kind of shiny, happy songs and there's more kind of dark and dark side of life songs kind of contrasted here. There's four versions of one song here, which is I Am a Man of Constant Sorrow. Two of them are solo instrumentals, and one of them is quite hard to pick out that this is actually the track. The song is actually part of the film, which is why it has a repeated presence here. It's a curious mix, but its overarching feel is kind of wide open spaces. It's got this kind of roots Americana feel. It's relaxing in the main, and it does have this feeling of pulling you back to a previous era. It's got this nostalgia feel to it. The whole album has been, on the soundtrack, has been well regarded, and it possibly raised an interest in this kind of music. As I was looking around for stuff about this, there are places that say that the kind of the ethos or the aesthetic that they're kind of trying to push forward wasn't one that really particularly existed. But I think that that's maybe a bit of a simplistic view of stuff. So, yeah, I'm going to ask some questions. Does it work as a soundtrack? So, definitely. So, the job of a soundtrack is to, generally speaking, I would say when you've been to see the film, it's to remind you of that experience of seeing the film and to give you that kind of reminiscence of. And it definitely works as that. And because the soundtrack was designed to be a major part of the film, and when the film came out, everybody was talking about the soundtrack. This is no surprise. So these songs are kind of the flavour of it is almost another character in the film. Does it work as an album? So my big challenge often to soundtrack albums is they work if you've seen the film or seen the show or whatever. Do they work if you haven't? I think so. unfortunately, I can't really say what it's like for someone who's not seen the film because I've seen the film. So, um, yeah, I do feel that if I try to think of it in isolation, it maybe drags a bit, and a few of the tracks feel a little bit like they're filler for the album. Maybe you could have dropped out two, three, four tracks and had it come in at more like 45 minutes rather than 60 odd minutes, and it might be tighter as an album. It might not do as good a job of rounding out the feel of the film, though. So, is it good? Definitely. So I've loved this album for years, and I come back to it again and again. Um, it's introduced me to Alison Krauss, which I'm very grateful for. It started my discovery of bluegrass as distinct from country, so it had an impact on me as an album, and I have listened to it. And I go back to it. It's one of those that I keep going back to again and again. I kind of, as I flick through the music that I've got, I go, oh yeah, I feel like that today. Or sometimes I'll deliberately look for it. So there's a couple of flaws in it, but I do really like it. My favourite tracks here are Down in the River to Pray and Didn't Leave Nobody But the Baby, both of which are Alison Krauss tracks, and You Are My Sunshine. That's what I think of this album. As always, I'd love to ask you to tell me what you think of this album, so please do by leaving a comment. The next up on this channel will be the Shame album, Songs of Praise, but that's it from me for now.
As I went down in the river to pray, studying about that good old way, and who shall wear the starry crown? Good Lord, show me the way. Oh, sisters, let's go down, come on down. Oh, sisters, let's go down in the river to pray.